Hi folks, Dinah Bob here. Welcome back to Atebeno Park. You may or may not know that I kind of crashed the progress I'd made in the park and had to rebuild about half of it. So here I'm going to do a retrospective review of where things stand now with rebuilds, some of which match what I did before and some of which add some bits. For example, the cattle chutes here in the guest services building. I'd have to redo the scheduling boards you see behind the counters and did some landscaping work out the windows and in the area around the water feature there. So let's move on out of this building. Um, but a quick stop at the handicapped portion of the desk and the door into where they could pick up their scooters if they need them to get around the park. I did move the door from right in there to inside the park itself on the other side of the entry uh, uh, turnstiles. And we're going to scoot back now toward the entrance building, which is pretty much the same, and spin over to the cafe, which now has a name. And I had lots of fun having to correct a whole bunch of stuff that went wrong with this building in that crash. So you can see these new tables, which were not available when I originally built it, but now are available in beta, and the new passageway out to the patio. So the last habitat I built was the Camarosaurus Habitat, and it looks like some of my bricks still need work. Uh, and this patio looks out across the water feature to that habitat. So guests enjoying their morning coffee can see giant sauropods cruising across the plain. Um, anyway, I think it's kind of a neat view. Having that mountain situated right in the middle of it doesn't hurt. So that whole patio area disappeared on me. Got to fix that floor. But not today. And we have a little decorative statue in the corner. And we can take this over into the gift shop, which you may recall was unfinished. You can see the shirt rack, which I also pointed out in my prop building 1 video. And now I have added the traditional uh, de-embiggened statues into toys or sculptural elements like the bit on the top shelf there with a little hunting vignette. Um, and also the bas-relief plaques, also to be seen in the prop video. Uh, so let's head out and into the park. We'll go through this side turnstile. Well, it's not really a turnstile; it doesn't turn. I guess it's just a gate. And there's the new scooter entrance into the park, um, right right out of the garage. So we're going to cruise down the path here, and we took this path in an earlier one by the Microraptor aviary. And I did a little bit of touch up in there. It's got signage now, uh, and it is now the Jahol Forest Pavilion with signage for Microraptor. You may notice new landscaping elements, but most of that just adds to the ambiance and isn't particularly something you want to spend a lot of time looking at in one of these review videos. And we saw the statue there. The Prehistoric exhibit actually fared pretty well in the crash. It was pretty well up to where I wanted it. So they're still cruising around happily in there. Um, and that's good. That's good. Um, one of the less stressful parts of the park for me in getting Atebeno back up and working to where it was. So there will be more videos coming on some of the things that I have added. The Camarosaurs have a barn now, for example. Anyway, so yes, there is a sign for the Protoceratops area with the hard to pronounce if you're not Mongolian name of the formation they're from. And these viewing stands lost a lot of their progress, and I think I've changed it to the better. I've got a long, accessible access ramp now up to the first one. Um, it also screens the exhibit, makes it more of a surprise when you get to the viewing platform, and added signage for the two animals we have in here. Um, so not much change to the exhibit. Actually, since I did this video, I did make a change. I've lowered those rocks a little bit. Been checking what the animals can walk across, and I can drop those down without the animals trying to get out over them. And that makes more visibility for the guests, and therefore happier guests. Coming up now is a fast food restaurant. This is Tiny's place. And this was a build I put together and prefabbed when the devs were looking for things they could use to see how the guests were interacting with them. And like all of the prefabs I talked about this in the Atebeno Park game, all the prefabs lost pieces in the transition. So I had to fix that up again. And the second viewing pavilion is pretty much the same. It doesn't have an accessible viewpoint. And now the path to where the park will be developing, or one of the places the park will be developing, and the no admittance gate. This was the first iteration of the one that showed up in the prop video. So let's head on back. Yeah, we're going to cut some corners of the path, in part because I don't drive all that well sometimes, and in part because we don't really need to go over all of this. We'll go down the path the other side of the Jahol Forest Pavilion and come around to the aviary that we did not visit in the first iteration of the park. And that's the Jurassic Isles Pavilion. And this is the home of our Archaeopteryx. It's the same structure as the Jahol Pavilion, but of course it is tricked out differently to make a better environment for our animal. And with a little jump in our imagery here, we're going to go into the exhibit because I had forgotten to repopulate it, as one still has to do at this point in beta, or at least the point when I was filming this. So in we go. You can see an attempt at a floral mural. Unfortunately, they still wiggle in the wind, which means it's a somewhat unsuccessful experiment. Here we are inside the pavilion, looking for our little birdies. They're not being terribly visible right now, and I was hoping we'd catch a flight. The trick out of the environment that comes automatically when you select one is supplemented by additional rocks and vegetation in here, of course. I built a fence of rope and a post to help keep guests out of where the animals are hanging out. I see a couple of birdies in there, but nobody's going to fly for us, it looks like, today. Oh well. We'll proceed outward then and on to the rest of the park as it stands. This is the other atrium, and this is where the staff care room, it's not really a building, it's part of the building, with this little door intercom next to it. We come out, and that is not the Camarosaurus exhibit in front of us. It's over to the right, and next to it is this building, which is Bronto Burgers. Where else but in the Morrison would you get Bronto Burgers? This is another one of those prefabs to test the way the guests would use the facilities. So onward, and ahead of us is a Euro-style toilet block. It's 6 individual toilets with a little privacy screen sort of in front of them. Very minimal, um, and you'll see several of those in this park. So we have that with its little ventilation screens and all that kind of good little detail kind of stuff. There's a service door over in the back. We have our Tarvasaurus Pavilion. It's a clone of the Camarosaurus one. Different plantings and obviously different signage. So let's take a run up there um, and see if we can catch one of our Torvos. Whoops, not fall in with them. Um, and let's see, I thought I caught a glimpse of one. Yep, yep. Somebody is taking a rest in the pond, and here comes his girlfriend. They're our only big predator in the park right now, other than Tyrannosaurus. And it's nice to have somebody other than Tyrannosaurus. There are a lot more predators than Rexy. So in the back you can see their barn. Um, and this is not a mural. These are actual plants. And off we go. Let's take a shortcut. Let's leap. Wee, boom. I'm running off and turn away from the toilet block. So ahead on the right is another one of those drop-ins, yet another one of those prefabs for testing whether guests will visit modules. This is an Atebeno apparel with lots of shirts. You can get all the shirts in here. Tropical theming. This is not the theming I had originally done, so I will probably be re-theming it for some other parks. I wanted to go with this subtle blend-in kind of look for this area of the park. And here we have a no admittance, but that doesn't apply to us. I had a guest jump over this thing, well, step over it. So I added this door to the service tunnel, and it keeps them out. So you can see the conduits. We'll zoom through this. Color-coded to help our maintenance personnel. We'll come out next to the river and behind the scenes to the barns and care facilities for J2, our Camarosaurus exhibit, and J3, our Tarvasaurus exhibit. So I will take you on a tour of those in the build videos, so you're welcome to check those out if you haven't already. And now we're going to head down the service access road. It goes along the Camarosaurus, so it's pretty long, so we'll zoom down that. Toward the perimeter wall, designed to keep the animals in should they get out of their enclosures, and a service gate, not terribly detailed, just something to close it off and make it be a wall. And this will run back to the entrance area. But we're going to pop up because this is pretty much the end of this tour and where we stand right now. You can see the Camarosaurus exhibit in the foreground. And there's actually 2 exhibits that I haven't shown you in the distance. And we'll tour those in due course. Built while I couldn't get online for a week. So I couldn't edit it and do all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Atebeno Park is back, and I will continue to be building it. Y'all take care.